Good morning, everybody. My name is Chrissy and I live here in Australia. And today I'm going to be giving you a prediction reading for the 25th of March. Now, I do regular predictions because I just like to keep update with the current energies because, as we know, things around the globe can change very, very quickly. So sometimes it's good to just sort of touch base and see where the energy's at and what messages that we're meant to receive. So stay watching. Now, yesterday I did do a video on the blob. So if anyone hasn't checked that out, go and check out my video on the blob and even look up the movie The Blob because it's actually very funny. So what the what the guides was saying is that we've become a big entity, which is this big soft squishy blob who is sort of moving in and pushing against. So we're kind of consuming things now that this blob movement is really moving, and this is across the globe. It's coming to a country near you, and that's what the movie actually says. It's pretty funny. So go and check that out yesterday. But I'm gonna just close my eyes and we'll see what comes through for today. Wow. First up, I'm getting Trudeau is running scared. He's being quite attacked over there, and he's not liking it. He's actually internally quite embarrassed. There's a lot of shocking things coming out around that whole truckers movement. And he's kind of running, well, he wish he could run. He's kind of running scared, but there's kind of nowhere to go. He's kind of got to face all this. So, whew, gosh, you people in Canada are so tired. I always, whenever I get tired energy, I know that this is taking a real toll on people. And this whole Trudeau thing is really taking a toll on people now because it's bewildering to people to think that one man can have so much power. But there are people standing against him now. And you've got to know that he is kind of feeling those feelings of embarrassment, shame, guilt. I probably wouldn't say too much remorse. There's a little bit there, but he's seeing the enormity of kind of what he's done and the picture that he painted, and how now it's like he painted this very. If you think of a painting, it's showing me that he painted this very abstract picture, and it was just all paint thrown at the canvas of the truckers and the freedom movements in Canada. But now what's happening is it's like the real painters have come along, and now they're painting the real picture over the top of the abstract picture, and the real picture is starting to come to light and it's coming to fruition, and people are now starting to see the real picture that is being painted. And this is around Trudeau and the handling of the truckers movement. So I'm definitely getting that message today that he's like ashamed, embarrassed. It's almost like he's being caught out. He's realizing the enormity of what he's done and the implications now that that may have for him moving forward. Gosh, fingers crossed. We could only hope that there's change moving forward for you over there in Canada. So I'm definitely getting that. The picture that Trudeau painted of the truckers and the freedom fighters was an abstract concept that Trudeau had painted in his own mind, but the real picture is now being painted over here. So I'm definitely getting that clarity now that this is what was, it's a very abstract painting, just a mishmash of colours and all yucky, and whereas this picture is now like a beautiful clarified landscape that's got all the detail, and it's all very calm, and there's green hills in the background. This is like the true picture of what the freedom fighters were actually standing up for. So again, it's probably that visual of freedom and having the rolling hills, and this is about getting our lives back and capturing our inner spirit. That's what the other painting is representing. But that's coming out. This painting is being painted over, and that canvas is going to be no more. So I think that's a good thing for you guys in Canada. I'm definitely getting that this morning. That, yes, everything was misconstrued on that canvas painted by Trudeau. And now there's some very careful detail on this one over here, the real canvas, where there's the fine lines and it's in the detail. So that's the message that I'm getting for you today in Canada. The real canvas is kind of now being shown. Now, I do get that people are running scared. I do believe, and if you look at the blob video, people are running scared. And I believe this is around governments, this is around the dictatorships. These people are running scared. They're really, really scared of being exposed, and they're really scared of being found out. Now, I talked yesterday about the amounts of money that are kind of filtering down to a lot of people, and I think people would be mortified if they knew just the amounts of dollars that people are getting paid. Actually, here in Australia, and it's interesting because little snippets are coming out. There's a guy here, I'm not sure if it's on TikTok or what it's on. He was a radio announcer called Kyle Sandilands. And he was actually saying he bought a bar or club or something like that, and he went to get a liquor license, and they refused him the liquor license, and then he just spilt his guts virtually, and they've someone like recorded him obviously on the radio, and they're playing it over and over here in Australia, of him saying how it was all right when they wanted to pay him and con him to trick the people and fool the people. And so it's actually coming out of people's mouths now that they conned people. And this is a radio announcer who said he was paid. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm getting now. He was only one of the little people, obviously, that just had to spread the word. But we have got people on the radio here, not just Kyle Sandilands. I think it's Sandilands. And this is what's happening. They're even getting paid to just keep putting these messages out. So this is why people are running scared now, because they feel like they're going to be found out. Now, can you imagine if people find out, and this is particularly around governments, because they would be, I would think, the ones on the bigger money. Imagine if people found out that they were paid to implement these things that were of no benefit. Like, it would just be so ugly. So in these people's minds, these politicians, government officials, health ministers, and a lot of these people who are pushing these agendas, imagine in their mind what they're going through. They would be so scared of these things coming out, because that is their big platform. That's where they have their power and their voice. And imagine if that was squashed and things were discovered. But look, things are coming out. Like I said about the radio announcer actually saying that he was paid to con people. Like, this is a definite proof that what we've been imagining in our minds isn't untrue. It's actually starting to come true and come to fruition. So we've got to hold on to all these little moments that are coming out. And that's why these people are running scared. They're running scared because they don't want to be found out. Now, I think if anybody checks out, for example, Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, she's all, oh, it's all opened up, everything's wonderful, we've got flights back to and from Australia. This is a kind of false normal that they're trying to portray. Nothing to see here, just everybody get on with their life. Meanwhile, here in Australia, oh my goodness, they've just starting 2 new trials on 2 new vaccines down in Melbourne, of course, the most locked down city in the world, not just Australia. Isn't that a badge of honour? Oh my gosh. And they're starting trials on, and they want people from 18 to 35 or something like that. It's just ridiculous. When Omicron isn't even that bad, is it? I mean, half the population in the world's had Omicron, and it was like a head cold, as we knew it would be. So this is what's happening in Australia. It's push, push, push. So I believe that Australia has been one of these little experimental places, as has New Zealand, Canada. God, even the UK, Boris has kind of opened up there, and I don't know how that's going over there. Maybe leave me some comments below and let me know how your countries are going. But here it's all vaccines and push ahead, and now the flu shot. So, you know, this is still a battle that we've got to still face. Like I said, this is going to go well into 2023. I really believe that. And this is not over. It's far from over. But the movement has started. We are moving forward. We are making progress. And I understand, as you guys out there do, who are fighting these battles, it is so hard to wake people up. I totally agree. People are waking up, but that's because they're waking up because of their own journey. They're questioning, well, why do we need a 4th booster? What? But I had a really... someone came into my husband's work, for example, the other day, and he had the booster, and he's had a headache, a permanent headache now since he got the booster jab. And he knows it was a booster. He doesn't even hesitate, but he can't get rid of the headache. Like, could you imagine that? So this is an example of what some people out there are kind of having to face now. That's their wake-up call when something doesn't quite go right. And that's a horrible thing to even have to think about. But this is what's happening out there with people. So you've got to stay, this is why it's so important that you stay in your own strength and you just keep going along your little journey. I had to go to the doctor's yesterday, and I was sitting there, and I had to take my daughter, and I had to actually sit in the like jabbed area where they line up to jab. And oh my gosh, the amount of parents coming with children, it was just horrifying to me. And then this one kid was screaming the place down, and he was saying, I don't want this in me. And it was almost like he knew something was really wrong. He obviously had that sense. Oh, I felt so sick sitting there. It was just horrible. And then someone I know came out and with their daughter, and they were sitting there, and they'd just had the jab, and they've got to sit there for apparently 10 minutes, the lady was saying, the receptionist. And then I'm looking at her, and I said, oh, and then she tells me how her daughter's all protected now. She's safe, and she's just had her protection. And I mean, what do you even say to that? I was just sitting there like, I think I just glazed over, and you've just got to allow it to be. You can't just bombard people because they're just in their own little world. So look, these are some examples of just letting people wake up, because they're not seeing it. A lot of people still aren't seeing it. So I understand how frustrating this is, trust me. So we'll see if the guides can give us some more messages today. Sorry, I'm off on a tangent. Sometimes I just get so frustrated by this myself, and I know you guys do too, because you all write to me down below, and I love hearing from you because we can support each other during this, because, man, this is so hard. And I'm getting like the guides are saying that people have suffered enough. This has been a really long stretch and a long haul. Now, this has taken a huge toll on many. People have been fired. People have been like, they're showing me people have been so downtrodden. It's like they've just been flattened like a squashed lump of, you know, when you see chewing gum on the street and it's been that trod on that it's that squashed down, it's that thin. That's what the guides are showing me. They're showing that people sometimes just feel like they've been trod on so much that they're just insignificant anymore, and they're just stuck there. And this is the kind of energy, you know, when you think of a piece of chewing gum on a bitumen road, it's baked on. Even with the heat and everything, it's just completely stuck. I don't think you could even get it off with a jackhammer, to be honest, because it's almost become cement-like. So this is how a lot of people feel. They feel like they are completely stuck, and they're never going to get out of this situation. And I'm getting that message a lot, like from the guides, is that, oh, and it even shows like they feel dirty. And look, to be honest, you think of footprints just standing on an old piece of chewing gum, and it leaves imprints, it leaves dirt and grime. And to be honest, I don't think this is just around the unjabbed. I feel this is around the vaccinated, some of the vaccinated people. And I talk about this a lot because people are frightened. People that have woken up or who have had these bad experiences, like the guy with the headache the other day that came into my husband's work, that's frightening. To think that you've put something toxic, and this is where the dirt comes into it, something toxic in your body that could have really long-term effects and you can't get it out of your body, that's a frightening thought. And that's something that's really coming up around this chewing gum, that now a lot of these people are like stuck with this life. So they're stuck in that moment where they took that jab, they're kind of stuck there, because it changed their whole life. And I know out there's a lot more people that have had vaccine side effects. Gosh, someone posted something the other week on Facebook here, and they had bruising from the booster, horrific. And they ended up having a blood problem and going to hospital and had to have I don't know if it was a blood transfusion or something had to happen anyway. And they posted it on Facebook. And the minute they posted it on Facebook, all these other people came up underneath. One woman said she'd had horrific seizures with her normal vaccines, and then with the booster, she didn't want to get it, but they still go back and get it. I mean, aren't seizures enough? She'd never had them before. went back, got the booster, had more seizures. Like, how does that even... this is how the mass psychosis works. They still think it's important to have the vaccine despite what they're going through. Then another woman popped up and she'd had really bad heart reaction, so obviously some sort of myocarditis, went to hospital, and now she's nervous to have the booster, she was saying on the same Facebook post. So people are hiding that because they're scared of being vilified, and that's why they're feeling stuck, because they've got no voice. They're not being heard. Who do they talk to? Everyone thinks that they're just being silly. But I think we've got to remember too, with these vaccines, they talk a lot about there's a mixture. So there's real vaccines, there's some placebos, and this is kind of probably what's going on out there. There's some people that are getting reactions and some people that aren't. And that's why I'm seeing that chewing gum on the road. It's very squashed, it's very downtrodden. And to be honest, I feel that's around those kind of people more so than the unjabbed and the freedom fighters or the people who have lost their jobs and mandates, because we're kind of moving on now. We're moving on from that. As much as we do at times feel downtrodden and exhausted and overwhelmed by some of these things, I know, that keep popping up in our face. Like I said, they're building the Moderna, I think it is, factory here in Melbourne in Australia. So that means there could be a few jabs moving forward, which I think would send alarm bells off to a lot of people who thought it was 2 jabs and you're done. Well, that's not going to be the case, is it? So, look, I'll just see if there's anything else today. And it is. That's the message today, is the toxic poison is really worrying people. And that's why we're getting that sort of dirt on top of footprints, on top of dirt, on top of footprints. People feel like they're stuck now. Like, who do they talk to? There's no support from Big Pharma. There's no support from your government. We know that. God, we don't get that here. Even when, like I said, in the floods, he's giving money to Ukraine. People here haven't even got houses to live in because their houses are completely wiped out. Even towns here in Australia have been wiped out. But no support there. So you're not going to get support off your government if you're having some sort of vaccine injury. So these are the things that are waking people up. They've got to wake up at their own pace. And I guess if you are talking to someone who thinks you're crazy, you've just got to accept that you're crazy in your madness. And like I said, go and talk to like-kind, talk to me, talk to other people. You know what I love most about my channel is that you guys talk to each other as well on it, and I love that. I'll often see my Canadian friends out there that you guys will pop up and talk to each other. And look, this is brilliant. Even in Finland, Sweden, Netherlands, I love that you guys do that. I love this, that we can all communicate because we're all there for each other. We know that we think differently, and sometimes it is very isolating, and that vilification is still continuing. It's not as bad as it was, but it is still continuing. So please keep chatting on my channel. I love it too. I love to hear how you guys are all going, even in different states. Over there in Canada, I know that you guys talk from different states and different areas. And it's brilliant because that's what we're all here for. We're all here to help each other. You know, I've got people from New Zealand. I talk to people in Western Australia because they're sort of living like a completely separate country over there as well, even though they're connected to us on the mainland. You know, these are isolating experiences, and that's why we have to blob together in this big movement and try and somehow move our lives forward and create, like I said, I think the other week, that kind of life around it. We've kind of got to learn to navigate around this journey. Gosh, I even got invited to a wedding up in Queensland, and I think it's on a weekend, so I would have to fly. But I'm even hesitant myself, and I know you guys would be too, flying around, because they make you have a PCR test and you've got to put it on your phone. I'm pretty sure that's what you got to do. I don't think the rapid antigen suffices. I'm not sure. Let me know where you are, what's the go with flying. Because I don't want to put that antigen test up my nose, because we all know pretty much about the nanobots and all this sort of stuff. So that's something that we've managed to avoid thus far. I'm sure a lot of you have out there as well. So, you know, these are the things that change your life. It's just not that easy to navigate anymore, is it? I'll see if there's any last message to leave you with today. Oh, gosh, I just get it again. I get no herd immunity. So basically, in the beginning when they said we need herd immunity, every single person has to be jabbed, I got told I was the weak link and we kept causing this virus to go around. We backed up the hospitals. Ambulance had wait times were all because of us. But the herd immunity hasn't worked. And that's the message that I'm getting from the guides today, is that this is continuing on and on and on. And the guides are saying, if anything, we're in a much worse situation than we were back then. If they had let this sort of run, we would have had a much stronger immunity. And I think we also know that using other methods would have definitely stopped a lot of this in its tracks. However, we know that this has sort of been the planned agenda from the start, and that they have wanted this to continue and wanted this to happen, that we know it's all about money and none of this is about health pretty much. So that's pretty much the message I'm going to give you today. And I guess we could take that as a positive as well, that the herd immunity hasn't worked. And I think for the herd, that's going to be their wake-up call. And maybe that's why I'm showing that squash chewing gum on the road, because now they're feeling squashed and they're definitely feeling suppressed, and they're stuck. Basically, they're stuck. I don't think the unjabbed and the freedom fighters and the mandate fighters are stuck. They're off forming a big blob that's taking over the world. Go watch that video. It's pretty funny yesterday. And go and check out the movie The Blob on YouTube. Honestly, you will have a gut laugh. It's so funny. I love those old black and white movies. And Steve McQueen's in it. So he's like this really famous star. So yeah, go and have a laugh. I think we need more of those. Look, thanks for watching today. I love talking to you guys. I love you chatting below. Hit the like buttons. Please subscribe if you haven't. I love you guys watching. It makes me really happy, and it makes me feel good too that I've got people out there who care about me as well, because it is a very, very isolating journey going through such a bizarre and unusual experience. So take care. Bye from Australia, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.